Welcome back, everyone. Dustin here again, Average Guy Hi-Fi. I've got another subwoofer review here for you. So this was another one of those porch pickups. I was in the neighborhood. Somebody had listed this right here, this subwoofer right here, for $75, and I kind of jumped on it. I gave him $80 because I didn't have any change, and he didn't either, but that's still an amazing deal for this subwoofer. So if you guys aren't familiar with just by looking at it, this right here is a Logan Dynamo. This is a subwoofer that came out somewhere around the 2005 range from the kind of the research that I was looking at. So it's a little bit older, but I've owned about 4 or 5 of these things over the years. I love them. I think the size of the box, the kind of flexibility when it comes to the driver positioning, just the looks and the overall sound, I was very impressed. I've kind of gone back and forth between the Dynamo, the original Dynamo. I've even had the 700 and the 1000, the newer Dynamo subs out there. So, but this one right here was kind of what got me started. We had a Best Buy over in Bellevue, Washington, or not a Best Buy, Magnolia Hi-Fi over in Bellevue, Washington that I used to go in all the time. And I was kind of comparing the Dynamo, the Abyss versus the Supercube 2 versus the Supercube 1, you know, kind of a 4-way shootout there. I ended up choosing the actually the Abysses. So I made a video a long time ago. It's a very bad quality, but I put dual Martin Logan. If you type dual Martin Logan Abyss subwoofers in the YouTube window there, it should bring up my video. So if you want to check that out, go ahead. I also am picking up another Abyss subwoofer that I'll be reviewing after this one from somebody that's bought gear from me, and I bought gear from him, and he kind of reached out and said he grabbed an Abyss subwoofer. So thank you. His name's Dustin too, so it's pretty cool. Shout out to Dustin out there. But anyway, I'll be reviewing that one next, but let's focus on this one. This right here, again, is the Martin Logan Abyss subwoofer. So this one's a little bit different. I'm really surprised subwoofer manufacturers haven't kind of caught on to this design, but I'll kind of show you what the grill looks like there. Has the Martin Logan logo in it. Nice high-quality grill. It's got a snag in it, which is right there, but that wasn't too terrible. But what kind of separates this sub from a lot of other designs out there is really how that right there is where the amp goes, right underneath there. But the reason that it kind of is funny is that this whole bottom part actually comes off the subwoofer. So it has a really nice sturdy stand that it sits on. So then you can take it from a front firing position, which I just showed you in, and then you can just turn it over to a down firing position sub. Just like that. So I thought that was really, you know, nice, especially for people that have like kids and things like that. If they're worried about somebody poking fingers into it, I don't know if it makes a huge sound difference. I couldn't tell the difference between going from front firing and to the down firing position. I've never been able to tell, but anyway, that's for you to find out if you can tell the difference. So it's got a very nice plate amplifier, Martin Logan plate amplifier. The quality is very good. This one does have a few, see if I can show you here, does have a few dings on it. You know, so it's not in perfect condition, but I've got it up and running, and it sounds great. The quality, the bass response, there's some more dings that you can kind of see. But if you're tucking it in a theater room or behind a couch or something, it shouldn't be that big of a deal. So, I'm not going to ramble anymore. Let's pop over there. I'm going to choose Overlord again. Since I showed you guys my Martin Logan Depth I subwoofer with Overlord, I figured I would just do the same with this little subwoofer here, because it's tons of heavy bass in there. So check that movie out if you're into home theater gear, because it really will test your system. I'll show it in the front firing position, but here we go. We'll pop over the room. I'll show you this thing in action, and then we'll hop up back in here, and I'll give you guys the Average Guy Hi-Fi score with all my reviews and everything in that part of it. And again, check out my description. I'm really loading those things up with a lot of information. That way, if you're out there shopping for stuff, you should be able to have kind of a few videos like mine that you can click on and get some more information for the products that you're in the market for. So stay tuned. Okay, just got the subwoofer all replaced, put it in place of my Martin Logan Depth I, and then we're going to watch Overlord in 4K, and then I'm going to show you a close-up of the woofer here in action. So I'm just going to jump right into it so the video doesn't run too long. Again, Overlord 4K, this is the opening scene. This is when they're flying in, so it has some really good bass. Check it out. Definitely check that part of the movie out if you have some good subwoofers. So here we go. Hopefully these clips are kind of long enough for you guys. I mean, you can only watch a subwoofer moving around so much. But I left the depth eye just sitting there so you guys can see a side-by-side comparison of the size differences and everything. So obviously the depth eye is a $2,200 subwoofer. So check out that review if you haven't. This little Martin Logan Dynamo is a $649 subwoofer. So a little bit different price categories, but I can tell you this little Dynamo really does a very good job pressurizing this room. The depth is going to have probably be able to fill a bigger room much easier, but in this small room, they sound pretty similar. The depth definitely goes a little bit deeper, like the name suggests, but this little Dynamo, again, I've owned a bunch of these things. It's just every time I get one, it's just such a wonderful little sub. So we'll pop over there. I'll give you guys my impressions, and again, I'll load that description up with all the notes and everything so you guys can kind of do some research on it. But if you run across one of these in the used market, especially anywhere near, usually I think what I see in my market is that it sells for around the $200, $250 range. But grabbing this one for $80 was just a very good deal. So we'll pop over there. I'll give you guys the Average Guy hi-fi review. Hold on one second. Okay, guys, hope you enjoyed that little demo of that Martin Logan Dynamo 10-inch subwoofer. I mean, I can tell why I bought it over and over again. It always surprises me, especially if you can snag it for on the used market. You know, it's just a very solid performing little subwoofer. You know, maybe find one locally and then add another one down the road, and then you'll have yourself some pretty good bass. It'll get you a lot of oohs and ahs when you're watching movies and stuff like that. So now we're on to my favorite part of the videos, where I give you guys the Average Guy Hi-Fi score. I'll try to speed through this. So there's 5 categories. Each category is worth 10 points, and then we give you the average of all those categories averaged out, and then it comes to the Average Guy Hi-Fi score. So the first category is quality, just how the subwoofer feels, the woofer material, the knobs, all that type of stuff. The second category is the bass response, how it's stacked up to the other subwoofers I've been reviewing. The third category is going to be the MSRP pricing of the subwoofer, how it stacks up compared to the competition when you went to a store at the time to buy it. The fourth category is aesthetics, just how it looks in my room, my overall thoughts there. And then the last of the categories is my price paid. And then we average all that out and give you guys the Average Guy Hi-Fi score. So we'll just jump right into it. Quality standpoint, 9 out of 10, pretty easy there. The Martin Logan always does a fantastic job. They put a lot of research into it. Everything from that little rubber stand that the subwoofer cradles in, if you want to go front firing or down firing, to the knobs, to the woofer, just oozes quality. 9 out of 10, very high scores for me. The bass response, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Probably could have gone a little bit more, but again, it's not going to fill a huge auditorium with thunderous bass or anything like that, but it definitely will carry the low end in most rooms. It pressurized that room almost as equally as the Martin Logan Depth Eye, but again, it's a smaller room, and I don't listen to things crazy loud, so it might just be a good little fit for you. Plus, it's pretty small. It's easy to move around. That Martin Logan Depth Eye weighs about 78 pounds. That Dynamo weighs, I think, 20-something pounds, 25 pounds, I believe. So but from a bass standpoint, I gave it an 8 out of 10. Very, very high score there as well. MSRP pricing at $649, this thing was a killer deal, especially for being a Martin Logan product with their customer service and everything that's behind that wonderful brand. So 7.5 out of 10 when it comes to the MSRP pricing. Then we jump into the aesthetics, like how the subwoofer looks in my room. I could have probably rated it a little bit higher, but it's a pretty standard looking subwoofer. So I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, which again is still a good score, but I like the white woofer. I like the aluminum knobs. I would do front firing if it's me personally. That's the way I would use it. But I really do like the looks of it. 7.5 out of 10 there. Now when it comes to my price paid, $80 for a Martin Logan. He actually had it listed for $75, but neither of us had any change, so I gave him $80 for it. I mean, $80 for a Martin Logan subwoofer that performs like that is just a killer deal. So I gave it an 8 out of 10 when it comes to the my price paid. So what's it average out to? Averages out to 40 out of 50, and that comes to an 80% in my score. So a very high performing subwoofer. It exceeds my expectations every time I've ever picked it up. So keep an eye out for that on there. I know that, again, the forums can kind of always just say SVS is the only way to go, or Rhythmic, or I mean, all those big PSA, all those big brands, but don't look past these guys either. I mean, Martin Logan makes some very high products. That Depth Eye that I have, I'm in love with it. So I listen to it all the time. I'll rewatch movies just to listen to it. So it's just another brand to keep an eye out for. The one downside to Martin Logan is it has a pretty high resale value. But sometimes people are willing to let stuff go cheap, and people like me are out there wanting to jump right on it. So just set it up in your searches. So That last Panamax video didn't really turn out the way I wanted it. I don't know enough about surge protectors, so I probably came off a little bit bumbling in that one, so I apologize for it, but we're moving on. This right here is a Velodyne speaker system that I just picked up. It's a 5-speaker. It comes with the 4 bookshelves and the matching center. So this will be one of my next reviews, and then we're going to keep things going. I also have that Martin Logan Abyss that I just locked down about 10 minutes ago from a person that's bought and sold audio gear from me. So I'm pretty excited about that as well, too. So I'll be reviewing that coming up here. It'd be interesting to see how the Abyss and the Dynamo kind of compare to each other. The Abyss is the 12-inch version, basically the Dynamo with a bigger plate amp and a bigger box. So we'll keep an eye out for that. So if you guys stuck around this long, thank you again. Help me spread the word. This is just a used audio channel, just trying to give you guys some, it's almost like a blue book theory, you know, like where I'm giving you guys how much I'm paying for stuff, and then hopefully you can get close to those deals. I'm getting some pretty killer deals, so don't expect it. If somebody lists that Dynamo subwoofer for $250, it's worth $250. This is just letting you guys know that there are amazing deals out there. So again, my name is Dustin. This channel is called The Average Guy Hi-Fi. So if you're into used home audio gear, things like that, be sure to subscribe. Thank you very much.